You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks college football huddle. Sunday stream of consciousness. My days are all screwed up, guys. Big wedding this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I've been going, and I probably look like I've been going, and I apologize. My voice is a little raspy, but we'll have some fun today. 2 hours of excitement. You saw our new sponsor, SeatGeek, which, by the way, I already use. I've got to make a little comment about advertisers before I get done here. Welcome, everybody watching today on the our Facebook platform, TGI Sports Talk, YouTube, which we got to find a way to maximize. You guys on Facebook have been amazing. 2,000, 3,000 views for all the interviews, all these shows, especially this show. YouTube, we can't quite seem to get the audience. I'm not sure exactly how to, and quite frankly, I've done nothing to try to maximize it. So we'll try to do better there. We're on Roku, the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. Get those channels downloaded. There's now almost 13,000 followers there, all free. And then Roku will boost the National Streaming Sports profile, if you will. Thumbs up to DDH. I know you're watching over us today. Also, a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff over there. I should be on his show, the Sports Corner, that he does with Smoke and Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. I should be on with Ralph and Jim, I think, at 4:30 Eastern on Tuesday. Check that out. I'll try to simulcast it if we're doing it on the Facebook. I'm not sure where we're doing it because he is back on the radio as well. John Gonzalez at Sports Authorities, thank you for your support. Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports, who do most of their podcasting on Let's Talk Sports, another great friend of our shows. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball. And, of course, Ken Krause over at Golf Buds, Sports of All Sorts. And, of course, JB, who comes on our show, who has the Back It Up Binge podcast on YouTube. He comes on the show a lot and participates. That's just John and Flo does from time to time. You saw our new advertising, SeatGeeks. This is actually somebody that I use and got tickets to the Miami-Syracuse game on November 30th through there. Previous to Mac from National Streaming Sports asking me to use them. I know how some of you guys feel about advertising. We're going to do a little bit of advertising. I want to do short things like this, and I'm going to be more choosy now that there's some options about who we support here. And again, this is no disrespect to National Streaming Sports because everybody can do what they want to do. But I'm not going to do the bet us anymore, quite frankly. I don't see much coming from it, especially for the price that I feel like I have to pay for it by using someone that I'm not terribly respectful of as a face of that. So I won't be promoting that anymore, just to be clear. We used to broadcast on Zodiac TV, and I'm not crazy about some of the stuff that goes on there either. And I do apologize because I stayed on the Mac and Jack show. I'm not apologize necessarily, but I didn't really know what the spot would be when I stayed on and he played, and I wasn't crazy about that. So I've got to talk to, and I will talk to Mac. I haven't had a chance to talk to Mac about this. I'm not throwing you under the bus anyway. Everybody can do what they want. I know, Mac is working very, very hard to build that national streaming sports audience and bring some money in. And he supported this show greatly. So it's not a knock on him. This is just my own personal preferences. So we're going to be heavily into SeatGeeks, and anybody he gets like them will get. And again, people could read things into this. Please don't do that. It's got nothing to do with anything except what I just said. So anyway, just want to get that out there for my audience. Guys, lots to talk about today. We got a lot of people in the room already. Let me say hello before people jump off of here. Danny's up with us early. I saw Danny on with Mac and Jack, or not Mac and Jack, the big football show. Jack was there. Kind of surprised me today. 5:15. Danny's a man. Great job. Good to have you as Danny. Danny, I think you and I both lost our, well, I don't know if you bet Illinois straight up. I'm believing you probably didn't bet the money line because I got to believe it's pretty big. But we both like the over in Texas, and I thought Oklahoma would score a few points and throw me under the bus for us. Popcorn today from CA. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. Good morning, Dave Guyette up in Amsterdam, New York. It is a dreary day here in Northeast. It's been beautiful. My niece got married on Friday afternoon at 3:30. And in fact, my stepdaughter got married 7 years ago. Her anniversary is Monday. Happy anniversary to Marina and Jake. And congratulations to Marissa and Alex. Got married on Friday up on a mountain in I guess it would be Rensselaer County. Beautiful spot. I mean, you can see the whole Hudson Valley. But they had a gorgeous day. And you run the risk of running into days like today, let a rainy and 48 in October. But congratulations to all of them. Rick Sherlock is with us this morning. More congratulations. Maybe this will be the whole show today. Rick's brother Bob was inducted this weekend into the National Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame. He joined some other and Rick, if I forget some guys here, just let me know. I know he joins fellow Glove City Colonials from back in the day, 70s. Maybe a little past that. Bob Bean, Harry Robinson, Joe Hall, Rick Sager. I know I'm missing other guys. Rick, if you know any of them, you want to put them up, please do. We talked a lot about the Glove City Colonials a few weeks ago on the 101 with Keith Engle. We had Gary McKillips on, who announced those games for about 10 years through the 70s. I never knew it. Been friends with him forever on Facebook. Michael Gott across the pond. How you doing today, buddy? And now people prepare for 14 hours of football. Oh, God. Right? Got to go out to watch the Patriots today, too. Paul Spada, good morning. Go Ducks. The Ducks win. Surprise everybody. Maybe not everybody. Paul wasn't surprised. We got some big Ducks fans here, Paul, who's joined recently, or in the last few months, I guess. Augustin, you guys may remember, he hasn't come on the show as much. He's out there in Oregon. He's a big Ducks fan. Just came to this country a couple of years ago. In fact, around the time we started this podcast. And also, oh, God, isn't that terrible? I'm going to forget the name I wanted to throw out there. Dale Scott. Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire who we've had on the 101 interview show, is a huge Oregon fan, him and his husband as well. And we got the good mornings to each other here. We'll go through those quickly. No disrespect, guys. Quacks won the most meaningless game, 3 versus U.S. Well, again, it is an opinion. Danny agreed. But to me, these games will all matter, whether it's seeding. That's why. And I'll keep going through here. I got some topics I want to throw out there. So before I go on, Drew's with us this morning. Good morning, Drew. Drew's back from his vacation. Hope you guys had a great time. Just a couple of things before I go on. I see most of the comments are from. Do I see anybody from anybody new before Kenny's here? Good morning, Kenny. Wanted to get my good mornings in before I moved on. The most meaningless game of the 3 versus Ohio State this year. They could play 3 times. That's an excellent point. And I guess in that context, it could be, but the ability for them to have 3 games could be greatly impacted by this game. That's why the protractors of the 12-team playoff, the opponents of that, who say the regular season is meaningless, I disagree 100%. I do not in any way think this game was meaningless. This was huge. Huge for Oregon. They're now in control of the Big Ten #1 spot. There could be other teams that Ohio State will finish with 1 loss with in the Big Ten. It's possible. I don't think so. I thought all along it would be Oregon and Ohio State. It did look like there could be some outsiders that contend. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. And then the next one will be the important one, because that one will determine the bye. But this one doesn't, to Danny's point, I mean, it doesn't determine any home field. It doesn't determine anything like that. So it's relevant. But we will talk Texas. We'll talk football today. Texas with a huge win over Oklahoma yesterday. I really thought they would. Oklahoma would score some points. I'd love the over, as Danny did in this. We talked about it Wednesday night at the college football huddle. We talked about Oregon. And I'm going to touch on the spitting incident in that game. Absolutely 100% uncalled for. And I will say this first. Dan Lanning's teams, this is not indicative of Dan Lanning's football team. This is one kid who I'm sure Dan Lanning gave an earful after the game. We talked about it on the Big Football Show. Maybe he should have done it right there in front of the national TV cameras and embarrassed him the way this kid embarrassed him. Because to me, there's no bigger insult and disrespect you do by spitting in somebody's face. Punch the kid. Show you're a man. And that's just, it's below. It's just ugly. And I don't think for a minute this is indicative of Oregon. Because a lot of people do that. They're going to start hating on Oregon now because we had a spitting incident. It's not the whole team, guys. That's one disrespectful young man who needs to learn. And hopefully Dan Lanning helps him learn. So if you want to get into that weekend, a lot of other big games. Bama barely survived South Carolina. Bama did everything they could to lose this game. Everything. They won. LSU with a big win over Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin again with trouble winning big games. Clemson rolls again. Notre Dame is right back in the hunt. Right back in the hunt. They're probably in if it were to be after this week. And once the polls come out, I would expect Notre Dame to potentially be back in the top 10. Potentially. Depends on how far they drop Mississippi. And Bama could drop a bit too, I suppose. I don't know. Probably not more than a spot or two. I did say Clemson rolls. I think BYU keeps surprising us out in the Big 12. They're in control, especially with Utah's loss. Kansas State didn't look good against Colorado. Oklahoma State's already lost. The Big 12, the bottom of the Big 12 looks to be on top of the Big 12. What was expected? Colorado with a close game, as I said. Army, another big win yesterday, 6-0. Pitt with a big win against Cal, 6-0. In a contention, right now it looks like Miami, Clemson, and Pitt will vie for maybe that championship game appearance in the ACC. A lot of football to be played, though. The Heisman, Giante and Boise State goes out and has another phenomenal game in a Boise State win yesterday. Dylan Gabriel moved up, I think. We can talk about that stuff. Football, we've got the Jets firing Robert Salam. We can talk all about that. I'm sure everybody will have some opinions about Sanders. Brady is expected to be approved to join the Raiders as a part owner, 10% ownership. That will impact his TV career, by the way. We can talk about that. And all talk of him coming back will cease at that moment. Roger Goodell talks about how great, the kickoff rules going. I don't know if he's watching the games or not, but it's ridiculous. The leaders still surprising. Maybe not so much the Chiefs at 5-0, but the Vikings continue to roll at 5-0. And injuries are off the board, man. Major League Baseball, not to be forgotten. Tomorrow, I think today, I think the Mets and Dodgers kick off today. Am I right about that? We'll get to your comments. Get your comments in. We're going to start the roll here in a second. Who we got here? Let me get to the schedule. I don't know why I put this stupid thing up. Today, it is Senga will start again, probably pitch 1 or 2 innings against Jack Flaherty. These are two teams with some pitching issues, by the way. And the Yankees will play tomorrow. We don't have matchups yet for that game. Clark Schmidt or Rondon will pitch for the Yankees. I'm not sure who's Cleveland's even considering at this point, but we'll talk more about it. And anything else you guys want to talk about. I'm an Army-Navy, man. Again, back to that 12-game playoff and people thinking a regular season won't matter. The fact that Army-Navy could be playing the Army-Navy game. They could play, and somebody pointed out, might have been Danny, they could play back-to-back weeks. They could play for the AAC championship the week before they play the Army-Navy game. 2 games would have huge impact on the playoff, but if that were the scenario. So we're looking forward to that. Well, at least one of those games would have a huge impact. And I said, good morning to Drew. Welcome back. Proud of putting your morals before profits. I started to downplay that a bit, Rick. I'm not going to, again, this is no disrespect meant to anybody. I listened to some of my viewers and their comments, and I don't take them lightly. Everybody's opinion matters to me, even when I'm shooting them down on the show. But we'll certainly, SeatGeeks is a really good outfit. In fact, I've used SeatGeeks, as I said, and it's a good function. And the other thing is what it is. Again, who has a better game, Rattler or May? I think CA Matt. The Raiders. Sorry, the Saints are a better football team than the Patriots. He's got better weapons. And Stevenson is out, by the way, so the running game is going to be a problem. The little kid, who's his backup? Came from the Redskins. His name's escaping me at the moment. It will come to me. He's played nice. He played well this year when he's played, but again, in spots, he's not a guy who can play every down, and that's going to hurt the Patriots. That offensive line is terrible, as many are. Again, he's getting pointed out to me every time you don't put a kid like this behind a bad offensive line. I don't care about the fact that, this was thrown at me as well last week. Oh, Williams is playing, and this one's playing. And May's the only first-round pick that isn't playing, or at least top 10 pick that wasn't playing. So what? Every team has a different situation. Williams is playing on a better football team. Daniels is playing on a better football team. Patriots are not very good. Drake May is set up for failure right now. I want to be wrong. Now, Danny, you're going to say I'm ragging on my team, but I spent 20 years being a cocky SOB about my team. So I think Rattler is set up to have a better game. Will that happen? No. Maybe May comes out and provides a spark. He can move around a little bit. I just have my doubts. Or Sherlock, second that. Boom. Love you and your thank you so much. Thank you so much, Danny. And your guys' opinion mean a lot to me. I really do. Even I swear to God, you guys, even I know I say this a lot, even when I'm lambasting an opinion might have, I respect each and every one of you guys, more than you know. And those opinions are usually well thought out. Sometimes they're just thought out to push my buttons, which is okay too. It's part of what makes this show go. But I do respect the things you guys have to say about important issues. And that was one I struggled with from the beginning, and I did it out of some loyalty to National Streaming Sports, and I gave it a go. And then I stopped with the video and I started to do the copy. And once we've got the other one, I'm not going to do 7 commercials during the course of the show, right? So this is a short one. It's a good group. If there's others, I will certainly consider them as we go a little bit better than I did. And my apologies for not thinking that out better. And again, that's not a reflection of Mac's decisions. Everybody can do what they want, right? Everybody. Good morning again, Kenny. I think I said that. Good morning to Kenny. We get a lot of good mornings back and forth. Missed your prediction by 15 points. What'd you say? You said Oregon was going to win, didn't you? You were going to take 10 points. That's the only reason I didn't respond to you yesterday was I wasn't going to give you 10 points. Or were you talking about Notre Dame? I'm not sure. Kenny's a big Notre Dame fan. And Notre Dame's done, if you guys remember, I did jump, and I'm not on the Marcus Freeman bandwagon yet. I'm not back on that bandwagon. If he turns this around and make a playoff run, that could change. That's what happens in this, and that's not flip-flopping necessarily. When guys suck, you say they suck. And when they aren't, when I've supported a guy for 3 years, like I have Freeman, and they throw a stinker up like they did against Northern Illinois, I point that out. I did say, if you remember that day, that same day, I laid out a path that Notre Dame could still get to the 12-team playoff, and they fouled it to a T. Now, there's two things happening here, too. They need to win the games. They need to win big, and they have for the most part. They have to beat Florida State, which is a terrible team, and that's not going to help their standing a whole lot other than a W, and a convincing W would help. And USC's now recession back to kind of where I thought they'd be. I had this team 5-7, or 6-6 in their first year in the Big Ten. They're not built. This team is not yet built to compete with the big boys. They played a great game yesterday against Penn State. They lost. They're not yet ready to play in the Big Ten because of the style of football, in my mind. There's a lot of bigger guys, better guys in the trenches than what USC has right now. So if they continue to trend down, that will hurt them. Texas A&M trending up has helped them a lot. We'll take a look. We'll take a quick look at the top 25 at some point. Rick, help me out. Mike Malott. Oh, I did. Malentino, yes. Played an amazing 22 years as a defensive back. Was he in that picture, Rick? Because I don't remember. I do remember Mike. But obviously I don't remember him like I remember the people that. And Rick was a Colonial as well, by the way. I was referring mostly to the Hall of Fame guys from the Glove City Colonials. That's a pretty good group of guys, all great football players, great people too, by the way, great people. So thank you for filling in my memory blank there, Rick. Michael Gott from the UK, gentlemen. Wasn't too impressed with Bama or Tennessee when Tennessee struggled a bit too. Who Tennessee have yesterday? Now that I'm trying to remember. So many games, so little time. Oh yeah, Florida. Florida's quarterback got hurt in this game. They had to bring in their 5-star freshman to finish this out. Florida's playing a little better than I thought they would. Tennessee's played down to their competition, lost last week in a big upset. So teams struggling. That brings up a good point. Let's go to the let me go to the rankings real quick. So who struggles? Texas will be number 1. I'll give you my top 10 right now. Texas will be number 1. Oregon will be number 2. Boy, it's going to be, I think Penn State will be 3. Georgia 4. Miami 5. The question is going to be, does Clemson lead? Well, Ole Miss is dropping out. Ole Miss will drop out of the top 10. Clemson moves in. The question will be, will Iowa State or Notre Dame be able to move into the top 10 with Bama and Tennessee maybe falling with some mediocre play yesterday. So I think that's the questions. You've got now, and LSU will be in that conversation probably as well. And BYU steadily moving up the rankings, wins their 6th game yesterday. Sitting in control of the Big 12 right now. Playing great football. Great piece on their quarterback yesterday, by the way. If you didn't see it, and I didn't know this, their quarterback, who's really good, is of the Jewish faith. He's one of three Jewish, one of 3 Jews in the enrollment at BYU, which is like 90% Mormon. Very interesting place for him to decide to go. There's a great piece on him on game day yesterday, and I wish I could. I don't want to say it because I'm going to say the moniker that he kind of uses. I can't remember, and it could be offensive the way I might say it if I say it wrong. And I think it's really cool the way that he's embraced. He wanted to go there, and he's learned about the Mormon faith and vice versa. His teammates have embraced him and like to learn about Judaism. So I think it's very cool. Anthony, good morning. I left out Anthony with the Oregon Ducks as a fan as well. I'm sorry, Anthony. I was going through some of the followers of the show that are big Oregon Duck fans, and Anthony is absolutely one of them. But he believes Ohio State going all the way. Big confidence booster, though. I want to hear from the I do want to hear from the Oregon guys. So Paul, Anthony, you're probably the only two guys here. I mentioned a few other guys, but I don't see anybody else on the show. The incident with the wide receiver spitting in the Ohio State player's face. Please don't. I hope you're not going to excuse it away, because there is no excuse. I don't care what it was. If you got a beef with a guy, I don't know what. I didn't see the play that it happened on, and I did not have time, quite frankly, this morning to get to the replay. It doesn't matter, though. You don't spit in somebody's face. If there was interference on the play, or the guy even if the guy pulled something dirty on him on the field, you don't spit. Take a swing at the guy like a man. Don't spit like a freaking camel. Anyway, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it. And again, this is not a reflection on Dan Lanning or Dan Lanning's team. It's a reflection on this one individual. Paul, singing his praises here, as he should probably. He did kick Danny's butt in college football this week by about 100. And Paul, don't pretend you're not bragging. It's okay to brag. I have a lot of experience in it through 20 years of continued success. Danny has a comeback. I've noticed this interesting rivalry between Danny and Paul. Just say it. There's our boy, Waldo, the original Itch. Bring up the Itch Award since Billy's here. Now, it's not too late. Billy's been here. He had pointed out he's been here. He's watched weeks and not participated maybe as much, because and he does have the award, lifetime award so far. That's a weird thing to say, right? The Itch of the Year is coming up. Billy could make a late run if he participates here a lot and gets under my skin, because he was the originator of that. And Kenny and Rick have been trying to pick up his mantle and done it pretty efficiently, I would say. And a late bloomer in this race has been Danny Fuller out on the West Coast. So when the votes come in, I think it's going to be very tight. And I would not doubt that if Billy decided he wanted to keep his title, he might be able to actually make that happen. Danny says college football tradition has gone out the window over the past few years. I don't disagree at all with all this realignment, and more the realignment than anything else. Even we could still have some of the tradition without or with NIL, the transfer portal. Maybe the transfer portal's hurt it as well, but it's conferences. That's what it's about. It's about time at the conferences, Big 10, Big 12, Pac, whatever, change with the times. I'm not sure which. I don't disagree with the overall sentiment. I'm just not sure if we're going in the same direction on the conferences and how whatever they need to do to change with the times. Well, the Big 12, the Pac is going to be. I mean, that's not even going to be a major conference. That's going to be. There's not going to be a group of 6 instead of a group. Well, I guess the Mountain West will stay together now. They have brought another team into the fold, so that they can play football in 26. But yeah, listen. Here's the thing. I have said about college football along with all the changes. I hate what's happened off the field. I hate realignment, which was the beginning. And again, as I've gone back and checked more of the history of college football, realignment has happened a lot through the years. A lot more than people know. a lot more than I realized even, say, a year ago. But that's been the major changer of the landscape. Then you throw in NIL. Then you throw in unlimited transfer opportunities. Then you throw in the fact that they can have $20 million budgets to, buy kids ways to their school. And I said, look, I can't control any of that. I finally got my head around it. I hate it. I hate it all. But I finally got my head around it. And I said, as long as Saturdays feel like Saturdays, because the energy on Saturdays is 100 times what it is on Sundays. I love the NFL. There is nothing that happens in the NFL. There's not one team experience that touches the college football, the feel of a college football game. Not one. Gone to a lot of college football games, a lot in Syracuse for 3 seasons, nearly every home game in Boston College. While Josh Beekman was there, and Matt Ryan, quite frankly, was the starter for 2 of those years. Then nothing beats that, and that's still happening today. It still feels like that. The bands, the crowds, the students. The games are what they are. The energy level and the excitement on Saturdays is still head and shoulders above Sundays. Now, there's problems, and they have to be addressed somehow, because I don't know that will continue as this moves continually towards, basically a professional football league. The Jets did fire their coach, Bill. If you have been, maybe you were away on Mars instead of London or Seattle or Australia. But yes, they did fire their coach. Weeview was relieved. No, I'm just kidding, though. Robert Saleh was relieved. Your quarterback, no responsibility. And maybe he didn't have any. It's possible. Not probable, but it's possible. But I'll tell you this. I mean, think about it in the sense of, like, we talk about Pete Rose saying he never really impacted the results of games because he only bet on his team to win. But when he didn't bet on his team, he was theoretically betting on them to lose. And maybe this isn't a great analogy as I think it is. It keeps popping in my head whenever I bring it up. Aaron Rodgers may not have voted or bet on Robert Saleh to get fired, but he didn't bet on him not to either. If in fact, he was caught by surprise and he was shocked when Woody Johnson called him to tell him he was firing him, and he had said, no, don't do that. That will be bad for the team, which it remains to be seen whether it's good or bad, although this tends to not work. I can't think of an instance where it does. Maybe one. We talked about it maybe last week. If he didn't want him to get fired, he could have said, don't fire him. And I guarantee you Robert Saleh would be the coach of his team today. So to me, it's the same either way. 2 teams I can't remember sandwiches between 14. Yes, 2 teams I can't remember. The Dodgers are playing today. What are you talking about? Dodgers and Mets today. We don't play till tomorrow. Feeling better about my team every day. The pitching, they played some good fundamental baseball. The Yankees did in this better. Not good, better. They found a way to win the last game without home runs. They won. They scored a bunch of runs without home runs in this series. Played better defensively than I thought they'd play. They had some strange defensive alignments out there. John Birdie played first base for the first time in his entire career. So we got the Yankees and the Yankees and the Indians, team formerly known as the Indians, with a rookie manager who never managed anywhere before. Former Major League catcher Vogt, I think it is, right? Thank you. I just thought of something funny. That's totally outside of the realm of this conversation. And we have the Mets and Dodgers. Got some weird matchups because You get the Mets and Dodgers both with huge starting pitching issues. I mean, Senga's starting game one again. Started game one against the Phillies, pitched 2 innings. Didn't pitch badly. Pitched 5 innings all year. Dodgers trying to get by with 2 starters, basically. So when you think about it, this is a bullpen game. Game one, this is the way the game has changed. Game one of the NLCS is basically a bullpen game for the Mets. Because Senga's not pitching more than a couple innings. You might not see him again in the series. I don't know. The Yankees going with Schmidt or Rendon, and the Indians have not decided yet. Indians have some starting pitching issues. Who would have thought the Yankees would have the best starting pitching situation going into these last 4 teams? Army, Navy, no, they will have at least 1 loss. Well, one of them's got to have a loss, right? Because they play each other. So there's impossible for them both to go on. And by the way, the Army-Navy game, there is no regular, there is, I'm sorry. There is a regular season Army-Navy game, but it is not an AAC game. It's not a league game unless they were to meet in the playoffs. The conference championship, these 2 teams could play 2 weeks in a row. They could play against each other in the American conference tournament championship game. Oh, and they could play the next week in the Army-Navy game. It'd be a very strange occurrence, but it could happen. Army and Navy, I think Kenny's comment, and he's most likely right. They both have Notre Dame on their schedule still. And I will say, of these 2 teams, I think Army has a better chance to give Notre Dame a game and potentially upset them. I don't think either one will happen. Because Notre Dame cannot lose as well as they're playing. Yeah, and Army and Navy undefeated this late in the season hasn't happened for 80 years almost. 80 years. 8-0. Almost as long as Kenny's been alive. I'm kidding, buddy. It's very exciting to see. I love this scenario. I love this. I mean, I like stories in college football. Miami gets in, I'll be rooting for the Convicts. Yes. Yep. There, I jumped ahead of you. But I'll be rooting for the Group of 5 entry as well because I like underdogs. Doesn't mean I'll bet them. Boise State's really good. Giante, if he continues this pace, he will win the Heisman Trophy. Dylan Gabriel made up some ground yesterday, had a great game. Cam Ward was off. He's probably 3rd right now. Travis Hunter got hurt yesterday, which I'm not sure how badly. We'll see how that affects his status. He's the best player in the country in my mind. But Giante, I'm going to say, is the front runner right now to win this trophy. Don't be surprised. They're 11th right now. So, what was Iowa State's result yesterday? Did Iowa State play yesterday or were they off? I think they might have been off. Let me take a quick look here. Oh, they've done. I'm sorry. They won, but they had to come back to win this game in the 4th quarter. West Virginia gave them everything they could handle. Another team that struggles a bit on the road. 6-0 though. BYU and Iowa State tied at the top of the Big 12. And when you look at the AP poll, which is all that matters until the end of this month when we get the first playoff poll, Ole Miss is falling out of the top 10. So at least one team is moving in. So if you just move everybody up, that puts Iowa State at 10. And maybe higher. I mean, it's possible Iowa State doesn't move up. It's possible Notre Dame leapfrogs them. They had a big victory. I would say West Virginia is better than Stanford, Anthony. Yes. And if maybe you're talking about for the year they're not making the top 10. If they get in the top 10 anytime before now, they're going to have a hard time falling out. I mean, are they losing to anybody else on their schedule? Now, in fairness, we did not see them losing to Northern Illinois. But I think that game was a wake-up call for them. They have played great football. They have learned how to use Riley Leonard, who's played really good football. Why the coaching staff had him playing for the pocket as much as they did made no sense. They're not losing a game. And again, this week, yeah, they could still be at 11. They're actually tied with Iowa State at 11 right now. I have to comment about the spitting thing. Thank you. To me, that's the worst thing anybody could do to somebody. 100% agree. One of the worst things. It's the ultimate disrespect, and that happened to me. And I 100% agree. And I'm sorry that happened to you because it should never happen. Oh, if it happened, oh, I guess there should have been if that happened to me. I don't think that person would get up. Be a man. If you got a problem with somebody, take a swing at them. By the way, spitting can be classified as an assault, at least in some states. I don't know if that's the case everywhere or some places in the country. I'll say I don't know if there's states. But I don't think that's going to happen here. But it's kind of ridiculous. All opinions matter, except Paul Spada. Come on. Paul, well, maybe not to Danny. Your opinion matters to me, Paul. Boston Paul in Wisconsin, now in Northern Duck. they like the Padres and Flippers. Does anybody watch Game Day yesterday? I have no idea who that actress was, but she was pretty funny, actually. That was a celebrity picker yesterday. I have no idea who it was. Cameron DeRocker, good morning, buddy. Good to have you with us. Please say hello to your dad, your mom for me. Great people, Ronnie and Susan DeRocker, wonderful people. I miss seeing them. I haven't seen them in so long. Your dad is a character and one of my favorite people on the earth, I got to tell you. But Cameron says, Dodgers, Yankees in 6, Dodgers in 7. And my lock of the day is over in the Green Bay game. What is that over under? What is that over? We'll get to our picks too in the games. Let me just see that because I've had some pretty good luck with. That's a good bet. 47.5. I like that one, Cameron. That's a great pick. Well done. Pick has been very tough this season. Many upsets. Well, yeah, there's no better judge of that. Well, the pick'ems without spreads are absolutely a judge of that. But let me tell you about the huge survivor pool I get into. It's $150 to enter. There was 610 entries. You can do the math. I don't know. It was around $100,000 when the season started. You do have buybacks for the first 3 seasons or 3 weeks, by the way. You double that. You have to pay $300. In 2 weeks, they were down to 50 people. 50. That's unheard of. 600 people have all been eliminated. 5 straight weeks now. The biggest favorite is lost outright. So, by the way, this pool, we were out of it in we went out week 3. So we did buy back in because there was only 50 people left. And only, by the way, 34 of them were from the original 600. The others were buybacks. There's been a bunch of buybacks. The pool's worth $170,000. We bought back and went out on Tampa Bay the first week. Or the Jets. Was it the Jets? It was the Jets. We went on to Tampa Bay the first time, losing to Denver at home. And then we lost on the Jets, losing to, who'd they lose to the next week? It was a horrible football game. I don't even remember who they lost to. but $170,000. So basically with the buy-ins, there was close to 800 entries with the buybacks. They're down to, what are they down to? I'll tell you right now what they're down to. It's under 100 again. It's crazy. Let me tell you real quick how many are left. Picks. Summary. There are 48 left. So 800 people, counting the buybacks, there are 48 people left. $170,000. Ay. I'm taking the Bengals because of Keith's jacket. What's that guy? What does my jacket have to do with the Bengals? I'm talking the Bengals or just taking them? You know, I got an hour and a half to go. I'm never going to make it without more coffee. Let me. I gotta message my my significant other here. Hang on 1 second. I need another coffee badly. Anybody else want a coffee while I'm ordering anything? Could you? This is great TV, right? This is the way I like it to be. Watch Keith and his daily activities. Oh, coffee. I said fresh TV. Good grief. Gotta be careful. I type whatever I'm saying. So anyway. Patriots, listen, Drake May is going to be in big trouble today. All you Patriot fans, which I'm the only one here, I think. Oh, me and Paul. Drake May's in big trouble today. Now, I will take my team in the pools because I cannot ever root against my team, and it will never happen. And so you can chalk me up for one loser. I'm struggling in the pools mightily. Wickety Wick, look whose 60th birthday. Chris Gwynn, Tony Gwynn's brother. The late Tony Gwynn. What a great hitter. You know, Tony Gwynn would probably hit. That's why you don't eliminate shifts. Tony Gwynn, guys like Tony Gwynn would eliminate shifts all by themselves. So good players don't need that. They don't need that. And Chris Gwynn, happy birthday. Decent little hitter himself, by the way. Played with the Dodgers, I believe, and not sure where else. I know he was at the Dodgers for quite a while. Not the player his brother was, but he was a decent bat off the bench. You said Oregon by 16. The last thing I saw was you would take, or maybe I misread the message. I thought you would take Oregon if somebody would give you 10. Regardless, great pick. They won. That's all that matters. Kenny G in the house. He wasn't. Which one was he, Rick? But there was a couple guys I didn't recognize. I guess you could tell me who the guys were I didn't recognize. Well, because I think you know who I did recognize. Harry, you, your brother, Louie, Mike Butch Farrow, Butch Natole, I recognize. Creature, I recognize. Chris Sager, or Rick Sager, not Chris Sager, Rick Sager. And I think there was a couple people I did not recognize, at least in that first picture you put up. Kansas State keeps rolling. I want to say rolling. This team's struggling, man. Went by 2 against not a good Colorado team. Shadir Sanders was really good. I just told my wife she ate the best. I said, I wanted to say you are the best. Oh, boy. I mean, Kansas State, what? They got one loss, and they lost to Tulane. Where do they stand here? I mean, they're not a front runner in the Big 12 right now because you've got BYU at 3-0, Iowa State at 3-0, Texas Tech at 3-0. All three of those teams, maybe Iowa State would have been in the middle of the pack of the rankings predictions before the season. Texas Tech and BYU were near the bottom. Now, things can change on a dime. We're only halfway through the season. Kansas State sits there with Arizona State, a big surprise. Cincinnati's 2-1. Colorado's 2-1. West Virginia's 2-1. The big disappointments, Utah with 2 losses, Oklahoma State with 2 losses. Mike Gundy's team. Anthony's got 5 Iowa State, 6 Miami. It's not what I said, right? What did I say? Let me go back to my polls. So I said Texas, Oregon. Oh, you know what I never put in there? I screwed up. You might be right, Anthony, because I didn't take into account. Yes, I did. Ohio State's not dropping out of the top 10, right? Ohio State's going to drop probably. They won't drop like Alabama did last week, 7 spots. I would argue that Oregon will be 2. Ohio State could be 3 or 4. Penn State. You didn't give me anybody else before that, though, did you? Did I miss your picks? Oh, maybe you're doing them. No, you're not doing them backwards. All right, Ohio State, Miami 7. Yeah, Alabama stays where they are. You got Ohio State dropping to 5 below. Obviously, they're going to drop below Oregon, Penn State, and Georgia. That's probably a good pick. One thing I did not, when I was doing that, I didn't think I counted Ohio State at all. So let me do my pick over. Let me do my top 10 over because I didn't leave them in. Texas, Oregon. I'm going to say Ohio State's still number 3. Penn State, Georgia, Miami. So we agree with everything except Ohio State. Alabama 7. Tennessee, I will say Tennessee stays 8. You got Ole Miss dropping out. Clemson moves up to 9. So you got Iowa State or Notre Dame in. So unless you got, I would hope you go all the way to 10 here. Let's see. What's Anthony got more? Yeah, I'm not sure where your last 10 teams are. Why aren't all the undefeated teams in the top 10? Because, well, you think Army and Navy, listen, as much as I love the military schools and always support them, we always give their scores, we always preview their games a bit. They are not in the top 10 in the country, nor is Texas Tech. But Texas Tech's not undefeated. I just gave you teams with undefeated conference records. But some of the other undefeated teams in the country, no. I mean, how could they be? A BB, you can make an argument for BYU, Indiana. These are the only teams with a real chance. I mean, who's undefeated? Armies and Navy, no matter what they do, are never going to be in the top 10, but they could have the highest rated group of 5. That's going to be the thing. They can't, they are getting in if they just win the American Conference. They got to finish ahead of Boise State. They got to hope Boise State drops a game or loses their conference championship. Northern Illinois still in play. Liberty's still in play. No excuse for spitting. Suspend him. I agree 100%. And we talked on the big football show today about Dan Lanning not getting on the kid on the sideline in front of the cameras. I don't know that I care that much because I don't think Dan Lanning went into the locker room and said, "Don't worry about it, son." I'm sure the kid got a very big tongue lashing. And if I'm Dan Lanning, I tell him myself, "You're not playing next week." NCAA probably won't do anything. It's probably going to be up to the coach. And again, this is not indicative of Dan Lanning teams. I think he may. Oh, I know that. I do know that, Paul. The rivalry is interesting to me. I like that. I like that byplay here. You make sure somebody's not messaging saying they can't see anything. Oh, Paul messaged me. K-State continues to win. Remember, they lost just 3 weeks ago to Tulane. No, where they took Tulane into who'd they lose to? Now you got me baffled. If they were undefeated, they'd be in the top 10. Oh, BYU they lost to. They got hammered by BYU, by the way, 38-9. Oregon's got speed at their wide receivers. Ohio State was giving up pass interference. They couldn't keep up. Well, they did keep up. It was 33-32. I would not say Oregon's wide receiver stable is any better than Ohio State's. Ohio State's loaded at wide receiver and has been for what seems like 10 years. They just keep replacing great wide receivers with greater wide receivers. Oh, I see. They couldn't. You're saying the defensive backs couldn't keep up with them. That's why they were giving up pass interferences. Yeah, and regardless of pass interference or whatever happened that caused this wide receiver from Oregon to spit in the kid's face, doesn't matter. Take a swing at him. I meant to say Danny and I are best friends. I knew that. I like the rivalry. All this NIL and money floating around college is just promoting gambling and a lot of discontent. I will tell you this about the gambling. Yes, there's an issue with when pretty much all sports have aligned themselves with betting sites. And listen, I'm no prude. I gamble myself. I don't determine the outcomes of games. I don't think what's at risk, by the way, is a huge scandal where teams are fixing games, right? Teams are throwing games, manipulating games. But there could be things, the prop bets. The prop bets, to me, are the most dangerous things. I think the new president of the NCAA, Baker, said the same thing. It's the prop bets that should concern everybody. You know, when a wide receiver, you're betting on the number of catches, the number of yards or touchdowns or, you know, whatever it is, quarterback play, kickers. You can bet pretty much anything you want to bet. And any one of those things could cause those. You could do a lot of things as a wide receiver to impact that bet, which in turn will impact the game, right? You're not throwing the game per se, but if you throw the prop bet, then you're helping throw the game potentially. It's a slippery slope, right? And there's also a lot of hypocrisy. You can't get into bed with gambling sites and then expect, you know, every single person in those leagues to turn their head and not think, well, you know, how could it be so bad? And again, the scandals that we've had recently, the Lions players, well, maybe the college ones have been a little bit more severe. The baseball scandal a couple of years ago did involve, I think, potential run shaving, if you will. We had an incident in the NCAA basketball tournament with an over-under bet. Now, I'm not sure if it was in a tournament. It was a regular season game, I believe. And I want to say it was I don't remember the teams, but I want to say they were from what's the league that Rhode Island and them playing? God, I can't think. My mind is shot this morning. I don't know about discontent, though. I mean, again, here's the thing. I have to separate, and I've done this with all sports. I have managed, for the most part, to separate the BS off the field with the games themselves. There's a lot of things that happen off the field that I totally don't like. Whether it's the gambling, whether it's the NIL, whether it's the transfer portal, and stuff in the pros, whether it's your political views or whatever. I mean, those are yours. They're yours. So you own them, whoever you are, including professional athletes. And I try to separate that stuff from the games. It gets harder and harder, much harder. Doesn't mean I'm rooting for those people that I disapprove of their message. But I try to enjoy the games as much as I can, because to be honest with you, when the off the field becomes too much and overshadows on the field, this show may not exist, because it's hard for me to ever believe I would do this. I would stop watching sports altogether. And this would become a different show or no show at all. So I don't know. It's hard. I've done a very good job, I feel like, for the last 2 decades of separating these two phenomena. We'll see whether I continue to do that or not. 14 in the Big Ten. What's that? It's 18 in the Big Ten, by the way, if we're talking about teams. Not sure what you're talking about. Talking about number of teams, I think. I believe your count's right in the Big 12. I know it's wrong in the Big 10. I believe there's 18 teams. Another live London today. Michael Gott, our UK correspondent. We got Chris Efgrave, we haven't seen yet this morning. Our Canadian correspondent, our UK correspondent is welcoming. By the way, you don't want to be a coach. Coaches seem to get fired a lot after the London games, Michael. What are you guys doing to those guys over there? If I'm Doug Peterson, I'm a little concerned today. I can't get that bet in. I was going to bet the Bears today. Aren't they? They're playing the Jags, right? Crap. I probably got time. But we'll see. Jags and Bears. So you guys have done a great job supporting those games, but you keep getting coaches fired when they come home. Doug Peterson. If I were Doug Peterson, I wouldn't get on a plane. I would just stay over there and do some sightseeing if they lose today. AFC East firing coaches started with the Patriots. Well, not during the season. And you saw those guys, Danny. They parted friends. It was an amicable separation. No, make no mistake, guys. I'm kidding. Bill Belichick was fired. I got to tell you, I love Bill Belichick. Everybody in the show knows how I feel about Belichick. The people who think he only won because of Brady are missing some big, big points. It was a big part of it. Do not get me wrong. That's not me putting down Tom Brady. Huge part of their success. But anybody who minimizes Bill's success forgets that Tom Brady would not have been Tom Brady without that coaching staff, most likely. But again, I was in favor of a change because change was needed. It'd been too long. I mean, coaches don't make it that long. And I was much in favor of Gerard Mayo being the head coach. I don't want to judge him on 5 games. I really don't. But I'm becoming concerned. Not so much because we have a bad football team. I'm concerned about this knee-jerk reaction to the fans and the media calling for Drake May when you're throwing him to the wolves here. I'm concerned about his body language on the sidelines. If you watch the games, you know what I'm talking about. I don't like his body language at all. And is he up to the task? I don't know yet. I'm not going to judge him. Guys, I've said this about Marcus Freeman forever. You need to grow into the job. Never been a head coach anywhere. He's coached in the Patriots organization for a long time and been a member of the Patriots organization as a great player for a long time. But just doesn't mean this is going to work. I don't know. I really don't. And speaking of Belichick, where's he going to land next year? The Giants, who, by the way, are 2-3 now, Danny, headed towards that wild card I talked about. That's comical. I'm laughing. It'd be funny. I'm not going to say another word about it until week 17. I'll leave that to Danny. The Jets are going to be looking for a coach. Never happened. Belichick's never going to match back up with the Jets and Woody Johnson. Not going to happen. The Giants, more likely. I think Dallas still the most likely landing place. He's not going someplace where he can't win and win right away. The man's going to be 72 or 3 years old. He's got a cheerleader at home. He's not just going to take any job. He's going to take a job where he can win and win now. He wants John Shula's record. I'm sure he wants to go prove a point that he can still win in the NFL. And he's not going to go someplace and take a beating for 2 years and probably have to walk away. It won't be the Jets. Not that I think the Jet fans necessarily want him. Allen's Okies from the Skokies were a no-show. I did notice Allen has not made even a quick appearance here today. I know I ride him hard about his again, here's what I will do. I admire Allen's loyalty to his teams, but you got to have a realistic view as well, right? I mean, gosh, but this is not a good football team. I said 8-4 was their ceiling. I still think that they're 4-2 now, and I really believe. I don't think my coffee message got through. Anybody watching the show, call my wife, and that has my wife's number. Please call her and tell her I need coffee. Got down here late today. I usually get a chance to get down here, get set up, get a coffee in me, and go back and fill it up before I jump on the big football show. And today didn't work out. So, in any event, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, Allen. Oklahoma was never going to be in this game. I thought they'd score some points yesterday. I did not think they'd cover the spread, and I did think that I thought this game would go over 49 is what I got it at. It was 50 when we were talking about it Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day it was. And Allen was very confident they could make a game of this, and I did not think that was going to be the case. There's Ralph Williams with us from RW Media. Love Ralph's stuff, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Ralph is a big supporter here, and we try to support Ralph, especially the Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier. He does Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And Ralph, if I'm not mistaken, I will be on with you at 4:30 Tuesday afternoon. I'm looking forward to that. And I know, Ralph, you had asked me about potentially simulcasting your show, and I'm certainly willing to talk to you about that. I just don't know which. If you're talking about on my feeds, Facebook, I don't even know how to do it on YouTube, which I'm more than happy to talk to you about. If it's Roku related, then I've got to send you to Mac McGrath, but just let me know so we know what we're talking about. I'd love to have a conversation at some point. The Dodgers, this is Kenny, and the Dodgers and my real team play today. Your real team. Oh, the real New York team. I get that wasn't I'm going to guess that's here. I thought you were jumping off the Oriole bandwagon, Kenny. I think you meant the real New York team plays today. You just told me they played in or was it? Well, yeah, wasn't it the Jets or the Mets rather? Who'd you call the New Jersey team? Wasn't it the Mets? I had to tell you they played in New York. Yankees play tomorrow and lose in 4. Well, I'll take that wager, Kenny. Whatever you want to wager, my friend. If you're a Dunkin' Donuts guy, we can wager a little Dunkin' Donuts gift card. They're easy for me to send out. I do it a lot. Happy to do it. They will not lose in 4. In fact, we can have 2 wagers. They won't lose in 4, and they will win the series if you like. Yankees losing 4 to the team formerly known as the Indians. Listen, they've done a great job of getting there. To me, the Indians and the Mets are big surprises. I look at those Mets. Mac McGrath, the other thing, I don't know if you hear Mac or not. Mac has talked several times the last few weeks about comparing them to the 69 Mets. And I don't think it's that kind of upset. I mean, the way this team is just kind of finding ways to win, and you look at a lot of the names, you go, who the hell is that guy? I would agree with that. Them winning it all here would not be as big an upset, though, in my mind, as the 69 Mets. I can see some comparisons with the way they feel like a team of destiny, right? But not necessarily as far as biggest upsets of all time. Everybody's against the Yankees. Where are you, Dave Guyette? Speak up, my friend. What the heck is that? Somebody check out her health. Oh, I see what he's trying to type now. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Ralph, that's the way I speak, actually. I don't even type like that. I speak like that. Good stuff. Good morning, Ralph. Good to have you with us. Oh, God. I was going to tell you, I'm still a little bit out of it. As I said, I officiated my niece's wedding Friday afternoon, 3:30. So it's been a busy week work-wise. We were out. They were here at the house for a couple of nights. So we were out a couple of nights early in the week. Then we were out Thursday. Then we were out Friday. We were out yesterday to Hibachi with the rest of the family that's still in town. And then Friday, and I said this on the big football show this morning, I'll pat myself on the back. I was exceptional in my role as officiant. I was not exceptional in my role afterwards, apparently. I was overserved, and we had a lot of fun. But yeah, I may have overindulged a little. I'm still working on recovering. Hibachi helped a lot yesterday. It's weird. That's the problem. I must have drank a bottle of bourbon, I swear to God. Plus shots, every shot you can think of, because there was quite a collection of people, and it was a long night. Fortunately, we were home at 9, and I fell asleep in my suit till about 1:30. So we had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I don't get sick. That's the problem. I get tired. I slept that. I didn't sleep good. You don't sleep good when you're that much booze in you. Today we'll have to take it slow and easy during the game. John Gonzalez is with us as well. A lot of our supporters with the groups and the people that we mentioned at the top of the show as great supporters of the show. Ralph was just saying hi. Now John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities has joined us. I know a bunch of you guys have checked out the Sports Authorities. If you have not, please do so. John Gonzalez, one of the best, if not the best, admin out there, and we love the fact that John supports the show. You know, John and I are almost always on the same page. Lately, we've had a few things we disagree on, but he's another great example of how, listen to the way I operate. You know, it doesn't matter where we're talking about sports or politics or, pizza. I can disagree with a lot of people about a lot of different things. It doesn't affect the way I feel about them. Love John Gonzalez. He's the best. I want to get John, when we do finally get together for our next cocktail hour up here, I want to get John Gonzalez up here to have a couple with us. John G is in the house. Good morning. I know Danny and Drew are a couple of people that have jumped on John's Sports Authorities group and certainly been big participants. So I'm happy to see that. The rest of you guys, you're missing out if you don't join John's group or any of the groups I talked about today. Subway Series coming soon. It's possible, John. I'm telling you, I don't see the Yankees losing to Cleveland. I've been hard on the Yankees this year. Still worry about the pitching. I still worry about the defense. I was impressed that they were able to score some runs in this Royals series without hitting the ball over the fence. They were over to Stanton stepped up when he needed to. I've been very hard on Stanton, but we need Judge to hit eventually, and now would be a good time. And the Mets just feel like a team of destiny. I will root for the Mets because they're not the Dodgers, Danny. And I think a Subway Series would be great. Beat the Mets again, just as we did the last time. I don't think my coffee message got through, by the way. So 9:45, I might make it now. Week 1 took too many Bengals. Week 1 took many with the Bengals hosting the Pats. Every single week. See, as I mentioned earlier, this is pointed out by the guy who runs the big pool I'm in. To protect him, we will not mention his name. All 5 weeks, first 5 weeks of the NFL season, the biggest favorite has lost. That week, that Bengals game took out half of the pool in week 1, to your point, CA. John likes the Bengals tonight against the Giants. Really? Can't go against your team. You'll be working that game, I'm assuming, John. John works security at MetLife. I'm going to be there. Oh, we didn't make it. We go usually. Do you work the concerts too, John? I think you said you do it. Next time we go to a concert down there, I got to look for you. We go to Kenny Chesney every year at Met. At the Met. No, the Met would be like the opera or something, wouldn't it? At MetLife. Got to look for you. You're in Cup 2. That's it. That is. My wife's not picking up her text, or she's still mad at me from Friday. I don't know. Did I send it to her? Maybe I sent it to somebody else. No, I sent it to her. I don't normally ask for that second cup because I've got it, and I have a very small cup with me today. Well, it looks big. I have my smaller cup. That's the mug with my mug, if you guys remember. Look, that's the original TGI Sports Talk mug my wife got when I started this show. What we got here? Drew says 25% chance of another 2000 World Series. Actually, 0 chance of another 2000 World Series, I think, Drew. But I couldn't pass that up. We know what you're talking about. New York would rejoice. The rest of the country would yawn and ignore it. I don't know if that's actually true. Listen, you think the country would more like a Cleveland? I'm sorry, because they're not in anymore. Who was it that we were talking about the other day? A Cleveland San Diego World Series. And guess what? I could care less about the rest of the country. I really could. Let me see the Mets and Yankees. Care less about the rest of the country. Danny, I'm sorry. I do care about you. And you guys who follow the show that wouldn't care about a New York series. These are the times I'm selfish. I'm selfish. I'm the most selfish person I know, quite frankly. I'm very in touch with my faults. Selfishness is one of them. God, I got to tell you, except for one girl. Well, my wife, 2 girls. I'm really, and I ain't even selfish with my wife. I freely admit that I'm not. I can sometimes be very rigid and, very rigid. But one girl, my little granddaughter, I cannot say no to. She came back with us after hibachi. You should have seen her at hibachi yesterday. Oh my God! I wish I had filmed the entire thing just to watch her faces, her different faces. And then we came back here, and Papa and her we sat outside by the fire pit, just me and her. She was having a blast rearranging my deck. Anyway, the stream of consciousness is in play full time right now. We'll look at the football the group standings here in a second, and I'll give you my picks. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about. I like the Jets Monday too. On the big football show, my picks were the Bears, the Falcons, and the Jets. I didn't get my bet in on the Bears and the cigar box, so I'm going to have to come up with another pick. I got 3 bets today. Only 1 for 2 in college. I started off the year so bad in the cigar box. Last year was a good year, and it seems like there's a jinx. Whoever finishes with the most money won. Last year, I won about $1,200. Goes to the bottom of the pool the next year. I got off to such a bad start the first 3 weeks, counting week 0 in college, that I've been digging out of the hole since. I've got 3 winning weeks in a row to get myself in a manageable negative number. But I've had to do the same thing every week. I might just have to. I'm usually much better in college than the pros. But I've had to go 3-0. 3-0 in the NFL each of the last 3 weeks to make money for the week. 4-2 is a winning week, right? That's what I bet. 6 games. You got an X amount of money you can bet per game and X amount of money you can bet per week. And then I usually split it up with 6 games. So you need to do 2. I'm sorry, 4 and 2 to make money. I've managed to do that the last 3 weeks to cut my deficit under probably around 100. But I've needed 9-0 in the NFL, which doesn't show up in the pick'em leagues at all, apparently. I bet some over-unders, though, quite frankly. And I did like Cameron's pick of the Green Bay game over. I'm glad he threw that one at me, and that's probably the one I'll throw in for missing the Bears. I may bet a couple other over-unders today, too. But 9-0 the last 3 weeks on the NFL picks to get to get out of going totally down the drain for the year. So I like the Jets on Monday night, too, getting points at home against the Bills. Go Drake May. I agree, Paul. I'm just scared to death, as we talked about. You and I chatted a little the other day. It's just a bad situation to put this kid in. I mean, this is very similar to the Jets and how they wrecked Zach Wilson. Now, I think Drake May is much better than Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson never got a chance, is my point. We will never know how good Zach Wilson could have been. They threw him to the wolves too soon. He wasn't ready. It wasn't a good enough team to overcome a rookie quarterback. Jalen Daniels is on a much better team in Washington. Quite frankly, Caleb Williams, who's not playing great, but is on a much better situation in Chicago. Who else is starting? They keep throwing at me. All these other guys are playing. Well, every situation is different. You can't put these guys in a position to fail. Where'd you comment, Billy? I missed your comment about where is it? There it is. I missed that. Sorry, Billy. I wanted to go back here. You can't put a kid in a position to fail. Billy did meet Bill Parcells this week, that fat bastard. Not Billy, Bill. He agrees that he set up the Patriots and Bill Belichick reap the rewards. Yeah, I bet he does. I'm sure he does. Does you remember how he left the Patriots, Bill? I know you were pushing my butt. This is Billy. Billy's making his run. Rick and Kenny and Danny, pay attention. This is how it's done. I wish I was with you, because I would have reminded Bill about the Super Bowl week when he left. When instead of preparing his team for the Packers, he was plotting his exit to the Jets. That's how he set up this team. Yeah, that's how he set up this team. I'd also remind him, you remember how much you loved Rick Meyer more than Drew Bledsoe? Do you remember that, Bill? Oh, you forgot. I'm sorry. No, he's not a good person. He's a great football coach. Great football coach. One of the worst people, and I have met him myself, Billy, at Ciro's years ago in Saratoga. I'm assuming you were in Saratoga someplace when you saw him this week. You can share if you'd like. And I apologize for missing this. I was staying on it, and then I thought I was done talking about it. I hadn't even mentioned it. But Bill Parcells is one of the worst people. He's left every organization he ever left in disarray. If you think I'm wrong, look at the history. When he left the Giants after winning his second Super Bowl with the Giants, he did it so late that Bill Belichick was gone to Cleveland. I think Tom Coughlin might have been on that team and gone somewhere else to Jacksonville, maybe, or Boston College at that point. But it was so late they couldn't hire a good coach, and they ended up with I was going to say Chan Gailey. That's not right. Crap. What's the guy's name? I always notice when I tell this story. Anyway, an innocuous assistant coach who was terrible. Ray Hanley. And it was a disaster. 2 6-10 seasons, I think, followed. That worked out pretty well, right? Bill made out okay. When he leaves the Patriots, he turns them into a winner. Thank you, Bill. I loved it. I loved when Bill Parcells came aboard. We had just given up our season tickets, but we had 10 years and gave them up the year Bill Parcells took over. I think it was a year before. But he rebuilt the team, took them to the playoffs once, took them to the Super Bowl another year. But he ruined the entire week for us and everybody by plotting his exit, his demise, the team's demise. Now, Pete Carroll came in and was okay. A couple playoff appearances. The team was nothing special. There was nobody left of that team when that Bill Parcells. Well, there's a couple guys. I shouldn't say that. Teddy Bruschi. There were some guys there. McGinnis. There were some guys there. Pretty sure the quarterback that took us to Super Bowls had nothing to do with Bill Parcells. He replaced a guy Parcells didn't want. He wanted Rick Meyer. There's my Bill Parcells rant. Great coach, horrible person, left every team he did it to Dallas too. Screwed up that quarterback situation, something terrible. Notre Dame moves to 10 today. Is it official? Are we updated right now? Let me take a look. They would have had to break. Come on. Where's my rankings? We got to get to our picks here. Now, mine's not updated yet. I don't know if that's your prediction. I think they get to 10 today myself. If you saw that somewhere, Danny, tell me where. Because I just updated the AP rankings on the ESPN site. They didn't have it. The great John Gonzalez saying hello to everybody. I'm going backwards. I missed a couple other comments, apparently. I apologize. We're not having a great time here. Where was it? Go Drake May. Oh, here we go. Billy, back to Billy again. Aaron Hernandez never spit in anybody's face. Got to respect that. Yeah, I mean, if there's one redeeming, everybody has one redeeming quality, right? And Aaron never spit in anybody's face. There's a really good docudrama I think it's on FX about Aaron Hernandez. I've watched now about 8 of them. Some straight documentaries, some not. This was a messed up individual, man. And you know what? The Patriots, in a lot of ways, knew they had a powder keg on their hands. I don't think they knew they had a serial killer. But both Urban Meyer in Florida and then Bill Belichick and the Patriots later enabled this guy by not stepping in. I don't know if you could have stepped in because this guy was so far gone. He's a sociopath. I mean, Robert Kraft loved the guy because he saw the one side of Aaron Hernandez, that little boy. And he thought he could save him. Couldn't be saved. Belichick, I think, was afraid of the guy. When you see one of the, it might have been the last Patriot documentary following their 20-year dynasty. And I think it comes up in the book I read about the dynasty too, which was awesome. I don't have the name for you right now. That Belichick was kind of afraid of the guy. Everybody was afraid of the guy. Mike Plunkett. Sorry. My bad, Kenny. I didn't mean that. I do fall back and I got myself in trouble with nicknames from when, high school nicknames. Now, I'm sure Rick, and Rick, you can, if you're still here, you can correct me. I believe you guys still call Michael Creature. I've never once called him Creature, actually, until just that time. I've always referred to him as Michael, actually. And so my apologies, Kenny. And I've got myself in that trouble before. If you remember Bob Adamson, I called him Rabbit one time. My name's Bob. And I know some other people that don't like their high school nicknames either. Some carry them on forever, right? But that's just me. I still have friends that call me Kichi. My grandmother called me Kichi, always. And I still have friends that call me that, 55 years later. So I'm okay. But I apologize. It's funny, Kenny, too, because I really I've never called Mike anything but Michael. Gwynn played for the Dodgers, Royals, and Padres. Thank you. I wasn't sure if you played with the Padres. I do remember the Royals now. He's what we would refer to, or was at one time referred to as a professional bat off the bench. That's usually a guy who hit about 250 and, wasn't good enough to make the team. There's Chris. Thought you disappeared on me, buddy. That bar hit you like a tire. All hail Danny Fuller. I guess I did find out this, Danny, that Danny is an ordained minister, as am I, because I don't know what kind of training you went through, Danny, but mine was rigorous. I mean, gosh, the steps they put me through. I think it took 9 minutes. Enter my credit card, a couple of pieces of personal information, and 2 days later, I got a nice packet in the mail. I'm not sure if you're that, if you went through a more formal process or not, but I do know that you have performed multiple weddings and funerals, and kudos to you. I had fun doing it. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting together a fun. I think it covered everything. I think it was really, and I got to pat myself on the back. I thought it was poignant, talking about marriage and commitment and having fun, enjoying each other. And we had some funny stuff in there because one of them's a Jet fan, one of them's a Patriot fan. They have lifetime passes or something to Disney. So we joked about them going to Disney 5 times a week. And anyway, we had some fun. We laughed. It was a lot of fun. And afterwards, I celebrated like it was 1999. Number 4, Georgia. Number 3, Penn State. Number 2, Oregon. Number 1, Texas. Well, I agree with the first two. I'm not so sure what's going to happen at 3, 4, 5. I think it will be some combination of what you had there. I just don't know what the combination will be. I do think it's possible Ohio State only slips to 3 or 4. Or you could be right at 5. I'm going to say my prediction will be 3. I thought they came out early before the show ended, but they haven't so far. Number 8, Tennessee. I got to get the jingle in here. Let me do this real quick. Oh, there you go. Number 8, Tennessee. You did this in a weird order, Anthony. Number 8, Tennessee. Number 9, LSU. I don't know if I'm going to jump LSU in over teams that won ahead of them. And I know they beat the 9th team. But to me, I'm still going to fall. I'm still putting LSU in line behind Well, Clemson's got a bad loss. Notre Dame's got a bad loss. I mean, Iowa State's got to stay ahead of them. Where you got them? I'm not having LSU leapfrog Iowa State. And then maybe it's a flip. Well, that's what I was saying before. Oh, I see you got Ohio State there. See, that's not a bad ranking, though, Anthony. I would say that's fair and could probably shake out that way. It'll be interesting. FSU did all they needed to do last season and didn't get in the top 4. Well, I can't argue that. That's for sure. Great job, Danny. I'll still say I'll go to my grave saying Florida State deserved to be in that playoff. Now, Kenny will say at some point here, I don't know if it's coming up yet or not. I try not to look ahead at the comments, which probably gets me in trouble sometimes. Notre Dame will probably get a little bit of a bump because of who they are. They'll want them in. TV would prefer they're in than out, right? Notre Dame's a marketable entity. Both Florida State, but not like Notre Dame. So I think Notre Dame will get a little bump there. Now, you got to also remember, there's still half a season to play, and you're going to get some recency bias near the end of this. You know? Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois will haunt them. And I do think Notre Dame's going to have to fight it out for, I mean, not the 12th slot, because that'll be the group of 5 team, right? But that 10th and 11th spot, I think, is going to be wide open for a 5th or even 6th team from the SEC. Now it's starting to look like 5. I think Ole Miss probably took themselves out yesterday. Well, we talked about as many as 6 2-team losses. We have to up that the way we're going here, Danny. But I can see them fighting with a 5th team from the SEC, a 3rd team from the Big 10, a 2nd team from the Big 12, a 2nd team from the ACC, and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, if they're 11-1, should probably rule the day. 2 losses is going to make it almost impossible for him to get it, I believe. Now, again, we don't know everything that's going to happen the rest of the way out. Since they all play Division I, then all undefeated teams should be given the ranking as others if they lose. Well, this is why we also have designations. They're all Division I, Kenny. And actually, I'll use your argument to back one of mine in a second. They are all Division I. But all undefeated teams are not equal. There's a Power 5 conference. Those teams are obviously better than somebody undefeated in the American Conference or the Mountain West or Conference USA. Now, I will say I'm still in favor of a 16-team favorite with every single conference champion getting in. That's only 10. The other 6, that's plenty of at-larges for me. Right? I don't need 8. I don't need 10. I don't need 12. Let every conference champion give him a chance. Give him a fighting chance. Make it just like the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament. And you're not wrong. Again, these ratings don't mean hardly anything right now. They'll matter. The one that really, well, they do matter. I shouldn't say they don't matter. Because if you're not somewhere in that top 15, come the top 15. I'll say top 15 when we get to that first college football playoff ranking. Which when is that? I had this the other day. Let's see if I can find it quick. College football playoff. Did it still come up? Schedule. Nah, that's not what I want. That's going to be the kick times. Yeah, I wanted to playoff poll. debut. Let's find out when this starts. Scott, here we go. I think this should give it to me. Here we go. Tuesday, November 5th. So we've got roughly 3 weeks. We'll get the first playoff ranking. That's when it's going to start to matter, right? And selection day will be December 8th. So you're going to get rankings on the 5th, the 12th, the 19th, the 26th, the 3rd, and then the 8th will be the selection show. And that's when it'll matter. Where was I? Billy. Frank Kraft, who we don't know who that is, by the way. There is no Frank Kraft. He could have a brother Frank, I guess, or a cousin Frank, but he spit at orchards of Asia Day Spa. It wasn't suspended. First of all, there's no Frank Kraft. There's a Bob Kraft who had a happy ending at a massage parlor in Florida 10 years ago. Whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't 10. It's irrelevant, first of all. Why should he be suspended? He didn't do anything that, whatever. I'm not going to get into this whole conversation. This is a stupid conversation, so I'm not going down that road. You're not stupid, Billy. This is. I can't. I mean, first of all, you don't even have any of the information accurate. He didn't spit at anybody. His name's not Frank. You're right. He wasn't suspended. So that part you're right about. Football will be no different than boxing. Somebody's family gets in trouble and they try to protect them by doing something in the game. In the game. It happened in baseball. You should always protect your teammates. Not by spitting. I don't know what, I'm not sure where that came into, Kenny. I'm not sure where that comment is derived from. I got to get to the picks here in a second, guys. So tired of seeing defensive backs try and knock the ball down and then they don't try to tackle the guy. If I was a coach, they would be on the bench so fast their head would be spinning. Yes, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, that's for sure. Bad tackling. I've never seen so many bad tackling. How many guys? Nobody wraps anybody up. After 162 games, MLB has still managed to have 3 of 6 divisions with a tie in them. Great point. And too many playoff teams. 12 teams left. Ugh. Ohio Choker State quarterback showed his intelligence when he slid to end the game. Kenny, in fairness, I have to make a public service announcement that Kenny Gifford hates all things Ohio State, especially their quarterbacks. Is that fair, Kenny? I don't think I'm being unfair there. I was in a sports bar in Cleveland, and they have some rabid fans. Yes, they do. Cleveland fans are good. Doesn't mean they're going to win. You probably covered this while I was away, but actually, I didn't get into a lot of this because I didn't have an MLB update this week, and we've talked about other stuff like playoffs and, So the numbers are what they are. Witt and Arias, whatever, leading batting average. Ohtani and Soto in runs. RBIs, Judge and Ohtani. 2 base hits, Duran and Tovar. 3 base. Duran had a really nice year, by the way. And by the way, Carroll's in here with 3 base hits. One of the most disappointing players in Major League Baseball this year was Carroll. Judge 58 and 54. So, and a great achievement by Ohtani. I don't know if you're still with us. I think you were still with us, Drew, when I covered all that. Based on balls, not surprising. Schwarber, that's all he does is hit home runs and walk. De La Cruz, 218. Big surprise, I'll say again, I know Drew likes Cincinnati. I don't know if you like him much this year as you did the year before. Big underachievers. I had said during the year I thought David Bell would be in trouble. I did not think Terry Francona would be getting that job, though. You saved your money not getting the Bears. Are they losing, or is that just your opinion? Sam Darnold in a positive situation now with Rick Sherlock people leaders. That Jet team, and he is in a great situation because you got a great coach for quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was very good there. I still want to see if Sam Darnold is better than Kirk Cousins when it matters. That's what matters. And I will say this. I don't think Sam Darnold is as bad a football team as the Patriots are today. Lunch at Saratoga National. Did he walk in? He walked in for a Manhattan. Had he played golf or what had he done? Let me, before I got to get through these comments. We got to do our picks. We got to do my picks. So I'll give you my picks in the pool. We're already 1-0, by the way. We're 0-1. Let me give you my picks real quick because we got 14 minutes left. I got to really move here because you guys got a lot of comments yet. Okay. The leader right now. Whoops, that's the wrong one. That's Rick. That's hold on. That's Drew's picks, where I'm doing even worse. Actually, the same picks. I'm just doing worse. JB has moved into first place with 48 over the two anonymous players at 47 and 45. Rick's at 45 wins. Paul's at 45 wins. Drew's at 41. Keith is at 41, coming back a little bit with 9 wins and 10 wins the last couple of weeks, trying to come back, but buried early. Poppy's picks is Kenny at 38. Scott Kobe has disappeared, like the Mad New Yorker, so we probably will stop giving his picks. Danny has got picks in the weeks he's got picks in. He did well. He had a 10 win, and he's got a win so far this week. I'm not sure what's missing here, because Danny has 23, but I believe has at least one missed week, which last week was one of them. And the rest have kind of dropped out. Here's my picks for the week. Sponsored by nobody, because we're not sponsoring them anymore. I have the Bears. I have the Packers over Arizona. I have the Colts on the road over the Titans. I'm going to take the Patriots, shockingly. 3% chance to win there. We'll buck the public odds. I like that Arizona. I'm glad Cameron pointed that out to me because I was looking for a good over-under. That's one I can easily get on board with. Tampa Bay will beat New Orleans on the road with Shane Rattler's debut. I like Philadelphia a lot over the Browns. The Browns are just a freaking mess. A mess of their own doing, by the way. We'll take Baltimore over Washington. We'll take Denver over the Chargers. Getting points at home, I don't get it. That could be a bet today. Raiders, I'll take over the Steelers. That's also bucking the trend. A little surprised, 90% of the people on the Steelers. I like the Steelers and what they've done. I like Justin Fields a lot. The Raiders quarterback situation, they traded or they swapped out Minshew, who stinks, for another guy who stinks, but maybe they'll find a way to get it done here. I'll take the Cowboys at home against the Lions, getting points at home. I'll take the Falcons over the 49ers. I'll take the Bengals over the Giants. Danny, I almost took the Giants in this game. If it was a bet, I might. And I'll take the Jets to upset the Bills at home as well. So there you go. There's my picks for today. Let's get through the rest of your comments real quick here. I want to play this real quick because maybe I'll play it at the end. I'll play it for you guys real quick because I like to get this in once a show now.
Keith Engle, the guy with the sports talk show. On the internet, he's the guy that we all know. If you love your sports, he's the guy for you. He has lots of shows on Roku. Keith Engle with the TGI Sports Talk Show.
I love it. Thanks, Mac. That's Mac McGrath from National Streaming Sports. The dulcet, what do you say? How do you say that? Dulcet tones of Mac McGrath. You haven't missed a beat, Billy, on what buttons to push. He's the king, isn't he? The man is the king. That's why I don't even know if I can consider him from the award, because I think I've really retired the original award in Billy's name. The itch, the Lifetime Itch Award goes to Billy Pulver. No, I'm going to let him compete. Fantasy baseball standings, regular season playoffs, consolations. Rick, 5th and 7th. Keith, 5th to. Oh, I guess I moved up. Rick went from 5th to 7th. Keith from 8th to 6th. Drew from 2nd to 3rd. So what I get from that is I made the biggest improvement on a freaking horrendous season. I don't use old news. Billy Oliver is old news. What the hell? And using the same old stuff. Fake news. Who's Billy Oliver? Oh, I see. Billy Pulver. He's killing me. That's a great point. Billy's bringing up a lot of stuff from the past that he knows will still push my buttons. And Kenny does stay current. So, Billy, there's our boy AC. How are you, buddy? Good to see you this morning. We can't leave stars for stars today? I wonder what happened. Did I get blocked, you think, from Facebook from being able to leave stars? I don't know. But we appreciate the thought anyway. I don't know what the deal is. If you're not able to do it, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe Facebook has decided that I'm not worthy. Hernandez, but I appreciate the thought. Hernandez learned everything from the Miami Hurricanes convicts. Well, Kenny, that would be true, but he didn't play for the Miami Hurricanes. So, again, we got to have at least accurate information if you're going to call the Hurricanes convicts. And that, by the way, is a 20 and 30-year-old moniker. You have to at least know where the guy played. He played for the Florida Gators. So that's all I can say about that. Jags up 3-0. Peterson trying to save us. We need to talk about the kickoff rule. We're going to get into that more next week. I think I did talk about this at the top. We didn't get into it much. Roger Goodell is very happy with the way the kickoff rule is going. Roger Goodell obviously does not watch football games. We need to talk about the kickoff rule and that lets the players step out of bounds and then touch the ball, and then they give the kicker a penalty. Actually, you're right. You cannot be the first player to touch the ball. That is a stupid rule. I have not noticed this, AC, but it is something. Remind me so that we look into this again. Send me a note because I want to look into this. I don't get that. I have not noticed it. Now I want to look into it. I call him Michael, but most still call him Creature 50 years later. There were two Michaels in the van, Butcher Farrell, so it was a little confusing. Yeah, it's fine. I knew those guys also. I thought you would have too, Rick. So I didn't mean to lump you in there. Danny did a 3-month course and $59 some 6 years ago, became an ordained minister. I officiated my ex-wife's daughter's wedding. That's God bless you, buddy. Got a few. So it took you 6 months. It took me 9 minutes. So it's very hard here in New York State to become an ordained minister. So they could have quit in the playoffs instead of the bowl. Oh, you stop. I don't have time to go into that rant today. Well, we got 7 minutes. The quitters weren't playing. Rick, all those guys. See, now I think I'm calling you Billy. That's got to be a sign. That's got to be a plus for you, Rick. All those guys that left would have played. They would have played if they got in the playoff. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Linda from Linda and Mac, who do great work and work very hard over at National Streaming Sports. Gambling reference with boxing. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay. I think that's from one of Kenny's previous comments. Bears TD pass. All right. So I should have bet the freaking game. Bears took the lead on a TD. Thank you, Linda. They were one of my picks on the big football show today, and I did not get a bet in because I had to start my show, and I didn't have the bet in the cigar box. Danny K-Met. Okay. I got to get off of here in 6 minutes, 5 minutes. Very fair. Ohio Choker State is overrated every year. Oh, very fair. There you go. That was me calling Kenny hating all things Ohio State, especially their quarterback. When did the Big Ten win the national championship other than a fluke last year? Woody Hayes won some national championships. Jim Tressel won a national championship. I'm saying. Drew, congratulations. The longest comment in TGI Sports Talk history. I think it was a ploy to cover my face up is what I think, Danny. And shockingly, this may not have been the most. That may not have been the longest comment. We've had some other speakers. But Drew did a good job of covering up my face. Thank you, Drew. We should do the whole show that way. Eagles' best bet of the day. Best bet of the day. Yeah, I like both of those picks, actually, Danny. Okay, see. Stars for Star Works here. Oh, good. Yeah, maybe you're on my personal page. If you're on my personal page, I don't think you can do it. I think that's the deal. And Danny, you know how much I appreciate it all the time. I really, really appreciate the stars. Up 4.5. Up 4 with 10:27 left in the half. Guys, great show today. Great show today. Billy Pulver back, trying to get himself back in this. This is why we might have to give you the Lifetime Award, Billy. Because your button pushing was a little dated, as Kenny pointed out. So that's okay. I got my coffee with 1 minute left in the show. Thank you, babe. She's the best. I love her. Where was I? Forgot what I was talking about. Billy. Oh, Billy's dated information. A couple quick comments here. What picture did you have? Did you not know? The first one that you put up. I think it was you were all in suits. The first picture. Send it to the page and then I'll share it. And do me a favor and caption it with who they are. You have a great week too, Drew. Good to have you back in town. Just wanted to join all the fun of offering an update on the live score while pretending your comments are live. I'm trying. Kenny, you get the pacifier. Oh, you guys are killing me. All right, guys, we're going to start to wrap it up here. I'm going to play one commercial on the way out, and then we're going to play the jingle. Let's play
Keith Engle, the guy with the sports talk show. On the internet, he's the guy that we all know. If you love your sports, he's the guy for you. He has lots of shows on Roku. Keith Engle with the TGI Sports Talk Show.
I love and the dulcet tones of Mac McGrath. Yes, I knew you would enjoy that. One quick, I'm going to say goodnight. We're going to play a commercial on the way out for SeatGeeks, and you'll see my outcast. And I see you guys on Wednesday night with the College Football Huddle. We'll also see you with the national podcast. And we'll see you next week, Friday as well. And with the Stream of Consciousness on Sunday, Keith Engle. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.